I'm Liz Rivera. I'm the Gem State Medium. Welcome back. Where they held their meetings. When they came up off to the side, I forgot to say, I got a really bad, my neck started hurting, went all the way up and into my head. I had a bad headache. When I was in that room, as soon as I left the room, then it was fine. And I said I thought somebody had probably had an aneurysm or a stroke or something, like something happened so one of them, whoever passed away, that was what happened to him. Interestingly enough, when we got through a different part of the area, there was a living woman that was with us, and she stopped me and asked if I thought people that would have been over at the golf course, if they could have come over to the lodge, which can happen. If you have ghosts in one place, they can be drawn to that haunted location just because ghosts are already there. Anyway, but she said, do you think that they could come over because I had this person that was a family, he had died at the golf course or on the greens from an aneurysm. From the kitchen, I believe we went into, there's another big ballroom area and there's another bar in there. And it is so 1950s. It's the coolest looking bar ever. Anyway, you can see it when it goes in there that it's kind of an S-shaped in there, and it's still it's not been messed with much. Anyway, so we walked around in there, just a big open space. When I was at the very back of the room, and the front doors are clear back over here, but I was at the very back part of the room, we were standing there talking. I saw maybe 5 to 10 feet from the bar, these people are talking to me, and I saw a pair of legs manifest, and they were just from like mid-thigh down. I know that they don't always manifest completely or whatever, you get bits and pieces, but this I actually saw, again, like with my eyes, manifest legs from mid-thigh down. And I just saw the legs take a step, like mid-stride walking, and then it was gone. So I was just making sure everybody's aware this is what I'm seeing. So I see the legs, they move, and then probably about 30 seconds, 40 seconds later, I don't know the exact time, but it was not very long, because that bar went like in an S shape. I saw the legs over here, but then all of a sudden, I see just the torso up, because it was kind of behind the bar at that point, or not behind the bar, but off to the side, so we couldn't see all of it, or I couldn't. But anyway, saw somebody walk up to the bar, like if you were gonna order a drink or pick drinks up to take somewhere, but it was just, and then it was gone. What I assumed was those legs was just the rest was him, so I got the bits and pieces at 2 different times. So I think he had walked and then his body walked up to the bar, so. And I couldn't tell you if it was a male or female. It was a complete, I can't say, I almost said a shadow, but it wasn't a shadow like what I got a picture of down the hall. It was the misty white, stereotypical, filmy ghost mist looking sort of feel to him. And then we went into another area and they're like, now I want to know what you think of this room. And when we went in that area, there were big windows and stuff, but it was the most calm place I felt in. I mean, it felt good, felt nice. And they told me it was where the women would be. That was like their room to go in and sit and do things that they were doing. So that made sense to me, that I felt warm and welcome in there. Went in the bathroom, just a lot of residual women putting makeup on in front of the mirrors, everybody looking nice. There was a couple, you could hear people crying in there. So I'm sure there was the extreme highs and lows of whatever parties or dances or people drama. We did go downstairs finally, and I went down the cement stairs by myself. We went in through the kitchen area. There's a set of stairs that takes you back into where the bowling alley is. When I went down there, I went down in the dark because sometimes not sometimes, but most of the time it's easier for me to see and pick things up in the dark. It's just quieter. It's also easier when I walk away from people, because just like the living, when they're dead, I'm picking up on emotions and their vibe and their being, they just don't have their bodies anymore. So I like to walk away from people and see what I can pick up when I'm away from them. When I got to the door and I was reaching for the handle, that part was a little unnerving. There was a man down there. He had silver hair. He was a little bit thinner than the other guy. And I got a pretty good, clear picture of him. Yeah, he was down there. Interesting thing is, this is a really weird phenomenon that happens to me when I get around like a really strong ghost. I feel like it's just kind of an overwhelming feeling when they're really strong. So when they're really strong, or even if they're kind of aggressive, they can move things and maneuver things. But any of those things, I'll start burping. I don't know why, but my stomach, it just starts gurgling, and I can just feel it building, and then pretty soon I'm just like, and I don't know why they have that effect, but it is every single time I run into a ghost that is that strong or kind of angry. I talked to my sister one time years ago, and she said that some of the Native Americans way back, and I don't know, this is just hearsay because I didn't actually look it up, but when they would go in and cleanse place or absorb any energy to themselves, it's almost like they start cleansing things, but that they're absorbing, but it's still got to come out some way. So far that's about the only explanation I have that could be happening, but it is a really weird phenomenon, and it's weird. I mean, it could be worse sort of phenomenons that could happen, so that's not that bad, but it's the weirdest thing. So yeah, when they're really strong like that, I'll just start getting that and start burping. It's strange. So I knew that whoever was down there, this silver-haired man, either not necessarily welcoming, but also he would be strong enough to move things if he wanted, or to bang on things, make noise, any of those sorts of things. And I think that's probably what he does. I think people who were down there would hear, bangs or weird noises or walking. I did mention in some of the places, I thought that because of the residual even, and all the parties, all the stuff that they've had there, and all the emotion, all the stuff, I honestly believe if you were ever able to just spend the night there with a couple people and it was fairly quiet, I think you would hear all kinds of stuff, including music, people talking, any of that stuff. If I had $1 million, I'd bet $1 million that you would be able to pick it up. And that would be more residual, not necessarily just ghosts. Some of the bangs and the hits and things like that would be more of the intelligent ghosts, because then they're just trying to get your attention. But like ballroom sounds and all that, and groups of people talking would be a little more residual left over. So I went back where you were talking about the Boy Scouts. Mm-hmm. They said, and then there's this room. They took me in there. Didn't feel bad or weird at first. I think that the kids have offset any negative that would have been in there. So I think, when you have good energy, like kids are having fun doing their thing or whatever, it kind of offset any bad. And it's not even bad. But what I got in the back part of that room area was, I was picking up that somebody had hung themselves back there. But I also felt like it would have been really hushed up. Like it would have been not talked about. It would have been like, we can't have that tarnishing our space. And so then it was just hushed up. I don't know if maybe that's why they ended up turning it into a Boy Scout place. It was not that when that guy had done that. Or she. Thinking it was a she. Was that a she? I was thinking maybe it was a she. But the person that hung themselves back there, I think it was a she. I think it was the only girl that I saw there. If memory serves. Just trying to think if there are so many in there. But that person had hung themselves, and I think it would have been really quieted down and not let anybody know, because they had standards to uphold and didn't want it tarnished and didn't want that group or community to be looked at as anything like that could happen. When I talked to the guys afterwards, I kind of told them that. They seemed to think that's probably what would have happened if, but they have no record of it. So who knows? He did say that before it was ever anything for the Boy Scouts, that it was like a shower or sauna room place, something like that in there. So yeah, I think if anybody was sensitive, they would pick it up. That it, something was sad, something was not good in there. It's like somebody telling me. It's like it would have been hushed up. It wouldn't have been talked about. So I don't think they're gonna know. That was one downstairs, 3 or 4 upstairs in the one room, another one in the ballroom area where that bar was, and the man in the kitchen. So that's like. That's a good little bit of people that are in there. Yeah, it was one of the more active locations that I've been to. And again, like I said, if you ever had overnights there, I think it would be really fun. I think they'd be great investigations, and I think you would hear things.